What is holding someone accountable? This question rings in the back of my mind when it comes to the topic of Tina Fey 1. A catfish that sexted a minor but pretended to be a Japanese lesbian, only to reveal they were a cis dude all along. He even lied about being Japanese. Dang. Not only did I terribly mishandle everything about this, but people don't know the full story of how this came to light, as well as recent information about someone new affected by him. Hello, I'm Daphina, and this is the real story of the artist Catfish, Tina Fey 1. Also, buckle up, cause like, a lot of stupid things happen, both on my end, as well as the Catfish's end. This is a lesson video for everyone, including me. Tina Fey 1 is a not-safe-for-work artist of over 750,000 followers, the former patron of current Gumroad, for support for their creations. It is the standard affair of drawing popular relevant anime characters into quirky sexual situations. Whoa, that's a lot of likes. Damn! It was around October 2021 I started looking at Tina Fey as a mostly joking affair, aside them saying the N-word and poking fun at their tailored Google ad results. Needless to say, the wording in my tweets was, well, terrible. As well, I thought I wrote in a joking manner that was not perceived by the general audience, with one of the tweets saying, Google ads are tailored to your search history. Some people thought this was a gotcha, or me digging for drama stuff, though personally I thought I was wording it in a more playful manner. Because it is funny to see someone say Boku no Pico is better than Dragon Ball Z, starting the sentence with the N-word. But I thought that was really it with Tina Fey, until I found that old July post. As it turned out, she'd been sexting a minor, 17, and her being 19, feeling remorse regarding it. In the long spouts of text, they claimed they knew it was wrong, but kept going anyway, further stating the minor stalking them, threatening to expose what they did. Originally, Tina thought they were an adult, citing conversations in VC, but soon learned that wasn't the case. People quickly forgave Tina, and for a few months that was really it, with people saying a 2-year age gap is fine. Their Patreon would shut down for a bit, with them making nearly $9,000 a month, so about $108,000 a year. Whew. On the down low, we've seen the replies saying,
very tiring to see people try to tear others down for mistakes or things they don't understand. Jumping to conclusions and websites not having communication/talking to their users doesn't really help either.
Fidel used to reply to a lot of their tweets like, that's a lot of public association. So I made a tweet October 9th that if anyone has been affected by Tina Fey to email me of the story, as at the time I thought there was a potential predator in our community. All of the comments told me to shut up, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, fuck you. How dare you look into something? Just because they sexted a minor doesn't mean they're a bad guy. I mean...
With my tweets gaining traction, Tina Fey made a series of tweets responding to everyone, telling people to
grow some balls.
And
motherfuckers bringing up the grooming shit. Were y'all not there 2 months ago? We fixed that shit. You scared to talk to me? Do some research, Daphne. I'll give you my birth certificate.
I quote tweeted saying to send a friend request to the Discord, asking for a video call, noting people send me emails linking their face and name to them. There's a little pause right here. Don't word things this way. We'll get into why this is bad. Don't do this. Don't. Other quote tweets I posted were made of screenshots not publicly shown before, with people again stating it's not that big of a deal, citing the 2-year age gap again. Tina, while this was happening, was on her server hoping it will pass, wanting everything to go away, never wanting to address it. Later in the night, she asked why she should apologize for saying the N-word, only for her to immediately apologize for saying the word.
I mean, that's a good character arc, learning to not say the N-word. I mean, she's like 20 or something, but I'm glad she eventually learned.
And for 2 days, nothing would really happen. I wouldn't tweet, and Tina wouldn't tweet, as they were just in the server playing TF2 while server members just moved along. Many people would guess what was going on about with all these tweets, as many, even Tina herself, assumed it was solely just about the N-word or grooming shit, as she puts it. However, it was deeper than that. October 12, 2021, I posted a tweet exposing Tina Fey as a catfish. As it turned out, Tina Fey was not a Japanese lesbian, but rather a cis man named David. Nearly 4 hours later, David made a response apologizing for lying to everyone, claiming to have never wanted to make a fake persona, further stating he's fine with people mocking, trash talking him, even making fun of him, saying he's been with this persona for about 2 years since he was on Reddit posting art. Remorse is had on his end whenever someone compliments him as a girl, claiming to be afraid of the backlash if he were ever to tell the truth. He ends up by saying to not attack his family, and that he's been earning money for his family since his father passed away. On the down low, as mentioned before, made a response saying that he's hurt, as he interacted with Tina Fey or David many a time and never knew. Feeling betrayed, he is saddened by all of this.
Of course it sucks. Like, obviously, I was super close to them. They were super close to a lot of my mutuals. I mean, like, all the art trades they did, even, like, all the birthday art we made for them. And just, we were really close and all that stuff. So seeing it all go down is not cool. You never want any of this to happen. Of course you don't. You never wish that. I would have wished that shit on my worst enemy. I love to see the best in everybody.
I made an apology and clarification tweets regarding how I handled everything. As if you can tell by the tweets, they're not befitting of someone covering this topic. I was too emotionally invested and heated, as well as focusing on things that people didn't actually care about, such as David sexting a minor, as the age difference is only 2 years. The general public did not care. To this day, the tweet remains up untouched. The only tweets that were taken down were the ones about racism, though I did that on my own accord. After learning about the catfishing, I believe keeping this up would lead to people believe it's just about that, though making a video at the time would have been better to clarify, or better yet, not making any of these tweets at all. Going back to these tweets right here, they're very bad because they're immediately seen as blackmail. Very much not my intention, as it was more just me posturing a macho attitude because I knew he was lying about his identity. So if these tweets, I looked like a crazy person. Woof. Especially when I said, I've received several emails linking your real face and name to this Tina Fey account. That looks and does feel like blackmail. It makes David look like the innocent one, as no matter what he did, it looks like I'm trying to blackmail him for personal gain. December 4th, 2021, David apologizes again in a brief short tweet. His fans forgave him, and everyone sort of just moved on. Within my apology post, I stated I wasn't going to cover this, as is never the case, as seeking drama. However, that was a detriment in the long run. I assumed someone else would make a full video about Tina Fey, though due to how I handled the situation, the spectacle became about me instead. Contemporary videos at the time focused on how I mishandled everything, and any mentions of Tina Fey after the fact are just comic dubs. So I'm going to finally talk about what happened behind the scenes. If you remember back to David's tweet about
being scared to talk about it.
I contacted him on 4 separate occasions. Let's see, I sent him a friend request on Discord and directly contacted him in Twitter DMs. Once, the day before his tweet about talking it out. The second, the day of, with the info I had at the time, knowing he was lying about his identity. Lastly, January 14, 2023, regarding the new info I got. He never responded, ever, to any of these. Regardless, there was an attempt to solve this privately, and ample time for David to admit it himself. In fact, he was more quick to apologize for the N-word than anything else he did.
Racism is clearly more important than potential grooming. Wait, is it? Never mind. I don't want to compare the two.
I bring this up as one of the people covering the story, Harvey TBS, noted this should have been handled privately, and the tweet should not have been posted.
This tweet should be taken down. It shouldn't have been posted publicly. In fact, this whole fucking situation shouldn't have been public. He took so many risks.
As noted before, I tried handling this privately and letting David admit he lied to everyone, but he just chose not to. He wanted to keep hiding.
I see there are a lot of people saying this should have and could have been handled privately, and while there are things that should be handled privately that people have absolutely no business butting into, this was a situation where someone clearly had no problem catfishing multiple people and further coercing them into vulnerable positions they probably would not have put themselves in if they knew who this person was. You know, another Twitter artist pretending to be an Asian woman for some reason. We're the actual Twitter artist, Asian woman. Can we get them some love? Like, please? So that's queer bait, race bait, and catfishing? Nah, this nigga's cooked. Or not, because he got a funny meme porn art. Eventually it gets to like, we're gonna ignore this because this Nagatoro art, it's fire. You're good, bro. It's fire. We did all that stuff. It's whatever. The art fire. That's all that matters.
October 9th, when I made my tweet asking for things, I wasn't sure I'd really get anything. At worst, it looked like a fool to look into something menial and already solved, and at best, there'd be something I need to look into. But then quickly, messages started to come in. As it turned out, a lot of people sent me stuff about David. First noting the messages David posted, claiming the minor was stalking them. That was and wasn't the case. Within the DMs he didn't show, he was open to keeping the relationship a secret, and seemingly only ended it because the minor won the call. Because he couldn't do that as he was Catfish, he quickly ended their sexting sessions and brought this to the public. So when David said he knew it was wrong, he did. That's why he hid it. I also got in contact with moderators, both former and current. David would tell him to keep the drama under wraps, forbidding people to talk about the I'm sorry posts within the server. It was clear at the time he thought the situation was just about the N-word and sorrow art, or at the very least, that's what he told his moderators. Talking with a former mod, they said that Tina would never talk in voice chats, claiming to have had a broken microphone, even when getting a new laptop. And as it turned out, none of the moderators really knew what Tina looked like. That is, except for one person who was sent a photo from Tina herself. Tina pleaded for them to delete it, which they did. Getting in contact with them through a proxy, they were shown what David really looked like, to which they said that's not Tina. Meaning, David was actively using someone else's photo, pretending to be someone else. This includes the nudes he sent to the minor. Another person emailed me with connecting information about David, noting in his own server, he talks about his older accounts.
Does anyone remember my old account, Professor Gemini?
Looking it up, you can find his Reddit's and Imgur account, which clearly shows his full name. Does it also lead to another username, and Arthur said no, which links together his DeviantArt account, his public Facebook page, with the cross posts, and full name, of course. This is further confirmed as David would show off his old art on the server and talk in, well, length about where he used to live. You know, for Catfish, he's like really bad at this. No. Like in other cases, he referred to himself as a cis woman on Reddit, Twitter, and Discord. But like, if anyone just slightly looked into this, they'd be like,
Fuck, he's lying. Holy shit, how is that so easy? Am I being punked now?
However, in not wanting to potentially out a trans person who's closeted, sometimes referred to as an egg, I talk with people close to me about how they handle the situation as if I revealed someone who's not yet out as considered a dick move. By showing them on the real picture of David, they could have said,
Yeah, that's her. She's afraid of how people will judge her because she's trans.
meaning Tina entrusted them with the identity, and they could have been nervous regarding coming out. But that was never the case, as the mod never recognized them, and further proven with David admitting that he's not trans, stating that he is cis. I mention this as I did see many people fear that I could potentially be outing a trans person, however that was something I was trying to make sure I wasn't doing. Krekov, a popular artist in the community, was actually in David's server at the time while fanning the flames on Twitter. As it turned out, Krekov didn't know what a catfish was, citing that he's not very good at English, meaning he was getting involved in a situation he knew nothing about. The server had to explain to him what catfishing meant, and he didn't give his opinion on it or anything. In fact, he never publicly said he disliked Tina for catfishing everyone, but gave a thumbs up to them apologizing, and I'm not even sure Krekov really knows or cares what David did. I mentioned this as if other Nazi Fork artists aren't holding him accountable, then nothing really changes. Luckily, some did step up and condemn David's behavior, such as Book Enthusiast, who said no matter how I handle the situation, David catfishing is still bad and his apology was also bad, further noting that he's essentially getting a slap on the wrist. But that was the extent of the emails in 2021. However, received a more recent email about David and his catfishing. On Twitter, David noted he'd been using his persona since around 2 years ago, so around 2019 when this first came out, though this email says otherwise. Public tweets pointing to from the email led me to talking to someone who was scammed by him around 2018. As it turned out, David dated 2 people, or pretending to be a Japanese woman with 2 sisters. The victims gave him money as well as TF2 items, noting that David never spoke directly to them, rather using text. David would again use someone else's photos claiming it was him, and he would still be using the same Pom Pom Kimochi account he still uses to this day. So the timeline of him catfishing people, that we can prove, starts way before than what he admitted to. So between 2018 and 2021 is a good 3 years, with only select people coming forward. Now that we have the whole timeline, let's go into the misconceptions, mistakes, and aftermath of all this. I'm very thankful for the big content creators who supported me publicly, as well as my friends behind the scenes who helped me looked into this, as well as checking my behavior during it, though I should have listened to them more about how to handle this, and I regret not doing so earlier, as I handled the situation terribly. And because of how I handled it, David got away with a slap on the wrist, so people thinking his predatory behavior was actually a simple mistake. For the past nearly 2 years, people have been assuming here's and there's, with no one stepping up to properly cover it and make a clear timeline. The initial points where things started to get muddied was with the Sora drawing. At the time, Sora from Kingdom Hearts was announced, to which David did some Nazi Fork fan art of, putting on the Bowser crown and such. And while I was making my tweets, a rumor spread that I cared about it, I guess. This led to people downplaying the situation by saying,
Dev got salty Tina drew Sora as a MILF, lol.
I never made a tweet about it, nor do I really care. I just assumed he drew him at least 18. Being a MILF is they're older. They're an older person. This also led to Twitter user Yokomation posting a tweet saying,
Daft Pina drew that 14-year-old girl moon undressing herself. I fucking repeat, Daft Pina drew that 14-year-old girl moon undressing herself. This is not a fucking joke. He really did draw her undressing herself.
Within the tweet is my old Meme Center username and the Wayback Machine website. Luckily, they still left the date in there, because if you calculate my age at the time, the drawing, I was 15. You really got me. 10 years ago, me. Sure showed him, but I also gotta be real with you. That trace drawing happened because I typed anime boobs into Google and found that image. Also, it wasn't a commission, I just said that to make it look like I had commissions. I don't know. Though the comments quickly realized I was a minor at the time, and that was kinda it, I guess. The Sora picture was in tandem for the spread by Omni, claiming this all started because of the Sora drawing.
But then got outed as a dude by this person named Dav Pina because they made a picture of Sora where he became Bowsette, and then from there it spiraled out of control with Dav Pina basically threatening to dox this guy. I don't understand Dav Pina's agenda in this, why Dav Pina kind of came at Tina Fey like this.
Because Tina Fey was a predator who used someone else's pictures to trick someone for nudes. But one more thing about the Yokomation post they mentioned.
He also's got no C. He's got one hell of a pair of melons, might I add, too. Does that count as hypocrisy on this part?
Some people got big boobs. I'm not sure how to continue. Yeah. Another pivoting point is what David did wrong. Many people assuming the issue was purely about the 2-year age gap. While 16 to minor over the internet, no matter what's easy legal, when people mention this, they never really bring up the catfishing. And the most common response upon hearing this was, I don't care, and they never look into the rest of it. However, in terms of events, the minor themselves are not innocent. They have a track record of sexting people and lying about their age that trick people for clout. The 17-year-old was actually a 16-year-old. However, this doesn't absolve David, as many people would try to claim so. This just means that 2 catfishes tried tricking each other and the one with the larger audience won. No matter the actions of the other catfish, David's still in the wrong. It is an actual defense, and people said that actually David got tricked and is the innocent one in all of this. This is under a post where someone mentioned their friend got scammed by David, by the way. And so if the misinformation is spreading this badly, you can see why I had to make this video.
One unfortunate problem that's been muddying the waters has been the age gap. Just about everyone that covered this situation has failed to realize that, while of course I may personally think that being an influencer dating a teen is a little cringe no matter what the age gap is, that's not the main problem. The problem has always been that Tina Fate lied about their identity and then catfished a high schooler. Even if the victim lied about their age to be 17 instead of their actual younger age, Tina Fate still believed in a best case scenario that they were catfishing a minor. And even after given plenty of opportunities to take accountability and admit it, they chose to act brazen on Twitter until the actual very last minute. It's incredibly disappointing behavior from someone with a sizable audience, especially when you look at the material he produces and the inherent responsibility hosting a community in that space requires. It's not just an age gap, it's stealing someone's identity when he himself sent pictures, and the fact that he did this to someone who he believed to be and still was in high school. And that's enough for me to be at least concerned about his behavior.
It isn't helped that Omni reported that David was
Now, and I understand what was going on. Apparently, this person was, playing everybody. I imagine, they were flirting or something like that, just for fun, but I don't even think that's important.
It's not flirting for fun when you use someone else's nudes to trick a minor to sext you, but Omni admitted he barely looked into the situation. Thanks in part to him, people downplayed David's actions. Many people attributed his Tina character as an avatar or mascot, with his followers defending him by saying they always knew he was a guy, or at least guessed it. This is further shown with this post where he claims it's a persona. That was never the case. While David can claim he never wanted to fool people, he did. He scammed people out of money with his persona, used his persona along with someone else's photos to get into false relationships, and when he couldn't voice the chat, he broke them off. This wasn't a case of,
I just draw porn. I don't know what people assumed.
but rather an active case of deception. The only way I can see this as a mistake is if David never referred to his own gender, or better yet just said,
I'm a cis dude and I like having this woman mascot.
there are people in the VTuber community who are cis dudes playing women personas, and the audience knows. In fact, the creators are open about it, as this is a kind of form of virtual drag. In his apology post, he said that he only wanted to give money to his family. While scamming people might help your family, breaking hearts and lying to your friends probably won't.
Daft Peanut. Why am I having a hard time? Daft Peanut dogs Tina Fate 1.
Usually is the end of discussion when someone says this phrase, but the moment you ask questions and get into it, it gets stupid. There's this belief that I'm an expert hacker, or puppet master of everyone around me. That's like giving me way too much credit. Noting aside the post where I said I literally got help from others regarding how I handled this, cause I was doing it shittily. Now I'm just gonna use this as a whole example. Like, when you saw me handling this, and we're like, that guy? Evil, genius. The truth is, someone emailed me stuff and, well, none of it was private info. No phone numbers, no addresses, not even emails. Just public accounts that he never took down for some reason. A lot of it was just stuff that David weirdly just told people on his public server, like where he used to live, what his old accounts were, and old drawings he made. Even when talking about the post, people sometimes change their minds, such as in Harley TPS's video where they say it is a dox, then later said it rather isn't, but could lead to one.
He fucking doxed them! I sent him this proof only 30 minutes after his tweet release, showing him very clearly that his own tweet could literally dox someone.
The flip-flopping of whether it is or could lead to muddies the reason why behind people worried about the posts. Noting in David's apology, he says for people to not attack his family, to which people assume that someone was. However, I couldn't find any info that actually happened, nor did the videos talking about Tina Fate really proved it. David never made any follow-up tweets that it was the case. Regardless, you shouldn't go after his family for David's predatory behavior. And if that is the main concern, I'm not sure how reporting on it helps either. As if to you, this is a full 100% dox, then you are fine helping spread it and showing people how easy it was to find more info about him. If it's the idea that people might find info of what little I typed, that is also said for videos talking about it. It could be the case that the info now became public, that's fine to talk about. As mentioned before, all the info within was already as public as the information could be. It was the nuclear option in making this tweet, but I did try to handle this privately, noting as well the tweet is still up. As per Twitter's Help Center policy, if the reported information was shared somewhere else before it was shared on Twitter, e.g. someone sharing their personal phone number on their own publicly accessible website, we may not treat this information as private, as the owner has made it publicly available. None of the accounts mentioned were private, and David posted all this information publicly before my tweet came out. While I should have blurred my posts more, it just isn't a dox. But the reason why I'm harping on this and talking about how people say my post is so bad, early TBS literally showed my post in their video, but like only slightly more blurred. If it's a dox, then why'd you just blur it a little bit? Huh? If you'd want to argue that's not a full dox, but rather a soft one, because the breadcrumbs are there, even if censored, by that logic, Omni, Harley, and everyone else are also soft doxers, because no one can talk about the David situation without the breadcrumbs being there, no matter how censored it is. Talking with the current server owner of David's former Discord, they gave more insights of what happened at the time. It was only until my tweet came out that David admitted he was lying to his team, and when the server was raided, he dipped, never to return. A transition from a Tina Fate server to Godfish's Aquarium. Hung, the current server owner, made a tweet about the situation nearly a year later.
David did not look after his own community and threw it under the bus when shit hit the fan. He did not explain to the former mods about the information until things escalated. It annoys me how people on this bird app think they know everything about the situation when they don't know a damn thing what's going on.
October 12, 2022, they also made a tweet about the 1-year anniversary of when Tina Fate was revealed as a catfish. Also, just like before, there are people in the replies going, actually, the minor tricked David. Forgetting for a second that David was a catfish as well, they tried doubling down by going on about the age gap. This is again what I mean when people try and focus on that rather than his predatory behavior. Talking of Charmhung, David apologized to them specifically about saying the N-word and stopped talking to them shortly after.
I'm pretty sure I said this several times in my server as well as on Twitter or whatever. Probably got deleted, but I do not like how during the time that David did get called out, mods and I had to deal with that, and it really fucking annoyed me. We were ones to blame, in which, you know, when we said, hey, we didn't, you know, niggas pulled up and left, and I just don't really find that, you know, cool for people who are just to come in and leave just because, you know, David was here. Like, I don't give a shit about that nigga no more. That nigga sucks. But at the same time, I do want to thank the people who did stick around after that whole thing that happened, and for those who aren't in the know, I'm always available, I'm always here, so you guys can, you know, talk to me whenever.
Now this video has a lot of information, so for too long didn't read, David pretended to be a Japanese lesbian using photos of someone else that tricked people. With this persona, he lied to his server mods, friends, online relationships, even fans. When exposed, he said he never wanted to trick people, except that's exactly what he did. He apologized and the behavior seemingly stopped. For me, I mishandled the situation by getting too emotionally involved, and the tweets made were very aggro for what ultimately turned out to be a simple catfish. The spectacle became about me rather than David's predatory behavior. David still draws art to this day, getting thousands of likes and new fans. Every once in a while, someone brings up to him that he catfished a minor.
I heard you a pedophile, nigga. I heard you like little boys and girls, nigga.
And people sometimes call me a doxer because of a tweet that shows a public Facebook page that contemporary videos told everyone about and where to find. I think the biggest lesson learned from David is he lost like $100,000 a year Patreon for sexting a minor. While I did handle the situation awfully, judging by how David reacted, I'm unsure if not for my intervention would he have revealed he was lying, or at the very least would have never been anytime soon. As badly as I did with the situation, I'm glad to have brought this to light, as it is unknown what else would have happened if the lie continued. And a special thank you to Saldus JJ, Verdus Joe, That Creepy Reading, and Charmhung for voicing the video. Follow me on Twitter, Patreon, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to listen to the Pizza Party podcast. Until next time, keep drawing, and don't forget to have fantastic.